Okay, everybody, we're going to learn how to implement spatial joins in our ArcMap today. Remember that a spatial join takes one kind of vector data and joins it to another. This is different than an attribute join, which we have already done in this course, in that we are taking data and joining it based on a spatial relationship rather than a relationship based on a common identifier. Okay, so in the example we work with today, we are taking a set of points and joining their attributes to a set of polygons based on whether those points fall within the boundaries of those polygons. So more concretely, what we're looking at here is the city of New Orleans in the US state of Louisiana. And we have a number of neighborhoods outlined by these gray lines here. And those are polygon data, spatial data. And we also have points. Each of these points is an Airbnb hotel. So what we want to figure out is, we already know that there are sort of where these Airbnb hotels are. We have some attribute data for each of them, representing a little bit about how much money they made. But what we want to do is to summarize and aggregate that by neighborhood, okay? Because we want to get a more holistic understanding of what's going on in the city and what kind of impact, economic impact, Airbnb is having in some neighborhoods and maybe not having in other neighborhoods. We can see what the spatial distribution of Airbnbs looks like, but we want a more summarized picture. Okay, so let's just take a quick look at these hotels in our attribute table. So we have lots of different information about each one, the name of the Airbnb, and in particular, its annual revenue. That's in US dollars. So this one right here that I've selected made $25,000 last year. So we want to summarize that by neighborhood. Take all the Airbnbs for each neighborhood and to bring that information together. Let's take a look at our neighborhoods, our block groups. Again, we have information about the amount of land covered, or just the territory covered by each neighborhood, the square kilometers, that is, and some identifying information. So just as we would create an attribute join, where we'd join the attribute table of a database file or CSV to our spatial data, we are going to right-click on the entity, the enumeration unit we want to use. In this case, that is the neighborhoods, these block groups, and we're going to go to joins. Okay, and in this menu, we would usually see join attributes from a table, and we would choose the table and our common IDs. But that is an attribute join, and we're going to join data from another layer based on spatial location. This is a spatial join. So we are going to choose our hotels layer, because we are joining information about the hotels to our neighborhoods. We are going from points, the hotels, to polygons. And then we have to figure out what kind of information, what kind of summary of the numeric attributes of these hotel points do we want to keep. For our purposes, we want averages and sums. So we want the average revenue of hotels per neighborhood, and we just want the total revenue brought in from all hotels in a neighborhood. Okay, and we would change the name here. Okay, and I'm not going to run this, but if you were to run this, it would say, you know, it's spatial joining, and it might take a little while, and eventually you'd get something that looks like this. Okay, and in particular, it would look just changing the transparencies here, it would look something like this. This would be the output you would get, and it would just be the same spatial data as our neighborhoods layer, our block groups. But what's different is that the attribute table, it has the same kind of base information, the name of the, or the ID of the neighborhood, the amount of land, and then joined, appended to it, is the count of Airbnb hotels in each neighborhood. So you can see, you know, this neighborhood right here or right there on the map had 28 neighborhoods, and the we also have some other our summarized information, which is average average annual revenue right here, and just the total revenue. Okay, so now it's just a matter of symbolizing this information. So we would go to our layer, go to symbology. This is quantitative information we're working with, and since we're just looking, let's say we just want to look at total amount of money brought in, let's use proportional symbols, and we're going to go to sum annual revenue, and we'll just change some of our symbolization here, and we'll then get a proportional point symbol map where each neighborhood, the amount of money generated by Airbnb is proportional to the size of the circle. So you can see there are some neighborhoods that brought in 10 million US dollars worth of revenue through Airbnb. So then we get to see a summarized view of this kind of economic activity in the city beyond individual points represented by the hotels. So that is a spatial join.